Abraham Lincoln, a man often regarded as one of the finest Americans and greatest leaders our country has ever known. He successfully guided our nation through one of the most difficult times in our history during the Civil War, and many cite his greatest achievement to be the introduction of the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves at the start of 1863. This, however, was not the first time that such a proclamation had been made in the United States. Just a year earlier, Major General John C. Fremont, commander of the Union Western Department in St. Louis, issued a similar proclamation on his own that the property of any enemy could be seized and any slaves declared free men. Upon hearing the decree in Washington, Lincoln rebutted. He contacted Fremont and kindly asked that he remove the part of his declaration that abolished slavery. Despite his future intention of abolishing, Lincoln felt that the timing was not yet right. Lincoln believed there were still abolitionists who owned slaves living in the South that had yet to be turned. To make such a big decision too soon, Lincoln felt, would turn those potential supporters and only hurt their cause. The quarrel between Fremont and Lincoln got messier before it got better. Lincoln was forced to send multiple authoritative figures out to see Fremont with the hope of talking some sense into him. Fremont, however, would not budge. While one might think that it would be simple for the President of the United States to deal with a rogue general such as this, it was Fremont's surprising support in Washington that became a roadblock for Lincoln. Many members of Congress, radical and conservative, were supportive of the idea, and Lincoln struggled to deal with the opposition. Eventually, though, enough had become enough. On October 24th, Lincoln removed Fremont from his position and ended the conflict. Then, only a year and a half later, he passed the Emancipation Proclamation, which the time, he felt, was ripe for. Our nation is home to thousands of miles of land for the American people to use and prosper on. However, today our great lands are being threatened by those who do not belong. They live among us in the crowd, but meanwhile take jobs that are rightfully American and cost all of us money through their very presence. Reform is necessary and must happen swiftly if this problem is to be fixed. Border security must grow tighter and crackdowns must be made on those who employ these illegal aliens. Together, we can make a push for change and finally accomplish something on this issue. If we remain silent, however, maybe it would be your job that is stolen next. For decades, we Americans have relied far too heavily on Middle Eastern oil suppliers. Entrusting such a precious resource in nations whom we cannot trust nor control has made the people of our great nation victims of oil and gas prices far above what should be expected. This problem can be and has begun to be solved though today. Today, the American people will fill their cars with gas that is as cheap as it has been in years, thanks to the push of some lawmakers to encourage domestic oil production, which has increased each of the past 6 years. This is a phenomenal trend. Our self-reliance on oil not only adds stability for the future, but also forces prices down worldwide. This means more money in the pockets of the American people and less in those of foreign corporations and their governments. So let's keep this trend going. Be sure to support domestic energy production when you go to vote this year, and let's keep smiling at the pump. Donald Trump loves to remind us all about how rich he is. He loves to remind us what a brilliant businessman he is and how he will return America to financial stability like he has his many businesses. But what he doesn't like to talk about is how 4 of his businesses have filed for bankruptcy in the past 3 decades. That makes Trump the top bankruptcy filer in the United States over that time. How can we give a position of leadership to a man with such a title? We cannot. Our federal debt is already approaching $20 trillion, and a resolution is going to take far more than a good businessman. Our nation needs a leader with experience beyond that of the inside of a boardroom. America is based on more than just bottom lines, so let's not put our trust in someone motivated by them. Vote Jeb Bush 2016. What's up, folks? It's Paul here to talk about what I want to talk to you about. And today, what I want to talk about is what so many people around the world are talking about: ISIS. As we should know, ISIS is an Islamic extremist group has been growing incredibly quickly over the past couple years, and of course recently unleashed a series of unthinkable attacks on the city of Paris, the people of which we of course have in our prayers. The attacks, though, as horrific as they were, are not what I want to talk about today. Let's turn our attention to the video ISIS released in the days following the Paris attacks, in which they made a clear promise that they would attack the United States and Washington, D.C., and that there was nothing that we could do to stop them. Is this really what the power of the United States has been reduced to these days? That a terrorist group has the nerve to put themselves on camera? We are the United States, for God's sakes. We have been the most powerful nation in the world for the better part of a century, and have never been a country to take shit from anyone. Groups like this should be doing everything in their power to avoid pissing us off, not making every effort to do so. The USA used to have a sense of swagger to it. We used to kick the ass of anyone who so much as pretended to threaten to us. I understand times are different in today's world, and this isn't as simple as invading an enemy country, but geez, there must be something we... Right now, we clearly do not scare any of these people, and unless things change, then one day, these sickos are going to attack us. And when that happens, we better have an answer. At that point, we better have figured out some way to scare these people back into their holes until we personally go in and rip them all out. Until that point, though, we better be ready to deal with these guys for a long time.
Stories